I am so thrilled to bring Jay Wilkinson back to How I Turned the Corner. The last time we spoke, we chatted about how he's transformed his company, Firestorm, to have a more flexible culture. And in the,
Can we start over, Kendra?
yeah.
Because the company's FireSpring.
Oh, I
And
said yes, Fire, not
it's okay.
Firestorm.
Rather than start off right out of the gate with that, I thought we just start over.
Yes, of course. Thank
It's
you.
okay. No worries. No worries at
I
all.
think I did that last time too. That's so funny because Firestorm is that networking group that my salesperson's a
Ah,
part of. So that's probably why I
got it.
did that. It's just a top of mind thing. Okay. One more time. I am so thrilled to bring Jay Wilkinson back to How I Turned the Corner. The last time we spoke, we chatted about how he's transformed his company, FireSpring, to have a more flexible culture. And in the last 2 years, he started one of the biggest things in his life, a conference called the ROI of Why. It's part of his Do More Good movement, which we also spoke about last time. And I want to continue our conversation now about love and business and how they go together, and especially how it's going to interact with this conference he's putting together. So, Jay, welcome back to How I Turned the Corner.
Oh my goodness. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you again on this amazing podcast. You do such a great job with this.
Thank you so much. Well, I would love to just update our listeners. What have you been up to the last 2 years since we spoke?
Oh my goodness. It's really it's a great question. And my my time since we were last together has been almost entirely consumed with um, a resetting of my entire life. About a year and a half ago, we had a fire. We were remodeling our house, and a contractor on the deck accidentally started a fire. Left the property. We live on 5 acres, so you couldn't see it from the road, and it went up in flames. And by the time I went to bed that night and came home, the only possessions I still owned were the whatever I wore on my body that day and
Oh,
whatever was here in my office at work. And that's it. I lost literally everything.
Jay. Oh my goodness, I'm so
And
sorry.
thank you. And it's really hard to put words to what it feels like to literally lose all of your possessions. But it has been the most remarkable gift. This, like the phoenix analogy of rising from the ashes, and I've lost um, this incessant need to create like an environment in a world where I'm attached to things. My mom died in 2011, and when she passed away, when my dad was ready a few years later, I went to the small, Nebraska town where they were living, or where he was living, loaded up all of the family heirlooms in a U-Haul and brought them to my house because my goal was to get them to all the grandchildren someday, all of my nieces and nephews. Of course, now they're all gone. But I was the one in my family that was deeply attached to the things, the memories, and the um, my mom's favorite toys when she was a girl, and my grandparents, fancy albums, the postcards they wrote back and forth to each other in the war, and these things that I just cherished. And learning how to move forward in a world where I didn't need those portals to connect me to these memories and these people in my life has been just such a great gift. So it's
Wow.
it's been an interesting time period for me.
Wow. No kidding. That's um inspiring, and of course, can't even imagine the tragedy that went along with that at the beginning, especially.
Yeah, it's been an incredible ride, and I will say that now, because thank goodness we count our blessings every day that we live in a world, in a country where we have insurance. There are people all over the world that are uprooted. There are people that flee their countries and come to America and other places to find refuge, and leave everything behind, including people. And I will never know what those people feel like. And I just feel incredibly fortunate to be in an environment, a place where at least I have insurance. And even though it may not cover everything, it covers most of the things, at least the material things. And so just feel so incredibly fortunate and so grateful to be living in a world where we have these safety nets around us.
Hmm. Yes. Yes, that is the purpose, I think, of a lot of what government provides, honestly. That's a whole nother conversation, but because we will all have times in our life where we will be vulnerable and need support and help. And so we cannot escape it unless we don't live a long life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so tell us a little bit more about your conference that you're getting ready to host here. I think at the in May, at the end of May of 2026, the ROI of why.
Yeah.
What is the origin of it?
Oh my goodness. It has been such a labor of love. I started this organization with my co-founder, Graham Penzine Brooks, in 2019. And we launched our first conference that year. And it's been, accelerating every year. And this year, I can't even really um, put words to how it feels to be able to work to do this work that's pulling together so many important movements and frameworks and people from around the country and around the world for that matter. We have speakers coming in from Japan, Masami Sato, who is the founder of B1G1, the organization that when Blake Mycoskie founded Tom Shoes and when Warby Parker came out, they went to Masami for help on structuring how to do this buy one, give one methodology. She's the one that created this 20 some years ago. And it's the first time in history that the leaders, the CEOs of B Lab, the organization that certifies B corporations all around the world, 1% for the Planet, which was founded by Yvon Chouinard and the organization that supports environmental causes around the world, and Conscious Capitalism, the founders of Conscious Capitalism and the current CEO, along with the CEO and founder of these other organizations are all going to share the same stage. So the largest frameworks and movements around putting purpose in business are all going to converge. We like to refer to it as the middle of everywhere here in Omaha, Nebraska, and spend a couple of days doing a deep dive into the idea that business can and should be the greatest force for good that the world has ever known. Our belief at the Do More Good movement is that capitalism is the answer to many of life and humanity's challenges, but it needs to be the right kind of capitalism where the business owners and their leaders are focused on uplifting all of the stakeholders that are part of a business, not solely being focused on how much money can we put to the bottom line for the shareholder or shareholders, but how can we use this business to impact humanity in a positive way? And the people that will be on our stage will have deep and wide stories around how businesses can approach this in a way that is true to their heart and that allows them to live the most expressed and positive outcome and version of that business that they're building together as a leadership team, as the founding team, whoever it may be. We're really excited about the evolution of this, and we're going to be making some big announcements at our conference this year about the future of the organization and where we're headed, about really reclaiming capitalism for the good guys, and using it as a way to change the world.
Ugh, so needed. Oh my gosh. That is so amazing. So we were talking before we started about YPO and EO and Vistage and these different, I'm going to call them maybe CEO communities.
Yes.
Um, and one thing I've noticed, Jay, so as one of the things that's changed for me over the last couple of years is I've become a Vistage speaker. And so I'm in a lot of different Vistage rooms right now. And one of the things that I feel really deep in my heart is that the only businesses that I want to survive, that I want to have be part of our future, are the businesses that are a part of these communities. I do not want the businesses who have leaders who really don't care about their people to survive. I'm fine if they go bankrupt, frankly. And so I've just thrown myself into the Vistage community specifically because I can get in those rooms, really often, in terms of being a speaker, and just really have a chance to spread that message about that culture isn't just going to like draw away from the bottom line, but culture actually enhances the bottom line when it's done well.
No question. One of our keynote speakers this year, his name is Raj Sisodia. He's one of the founders of Conscious Capitalism. So he wrote the book with John Mackey, Conscious Capitalism, but he also wrote a book called Firms of Endearment. And in this book, he did many years of research and he took public data and compared it to private data that he was able to partner with organizations like Good to Great and others where they had private financial data from private companies around the United States. And what he learned is that companies that are focused on purpose as a primary objective, rather than solely being focused on profit, are 14 times more profitable than those companies that are solely focused on profit. So the idea is here that if you focus on purpose first, more profit will follow. And we see this over and over and over and again. And it's a no-brainer for those of us that are already doing this work. I mean, when my company, FireSpring, became a certified B Corporation, within a year, instead of getting 20 applications for every position, we were getting 200 applications for the same exact position because people want to be part of something that's bigger than themselves. It's human nature.
Hmm.
And when we can create a business that has a bigger ideology and mindset and has a North Star and they know what they believe in and they know what they're focusing on, when we create a business like that, people want to be part of it, not just employed by them, but they also want to buy their products and services to help um, elevate, the world around them. So it's so evident. And you're absolutely right, Kendra. I see it in Vistage groups. I see it in EO and YPO and all of these organizations of CEOs and founders that I'm connected with. The transition among the people that are running these companies just over the last 3 years has been profound to me.
So,
It's just absolutely profound.
so in what way? Like, what do you see them doing? Like, how are they turning the corner, so to speak?
Well, first of all, they've come to recognize that it's not enough anymore just simply to pay someone, a fair wage and go on about your day and hope that your business is successful. It's important, we need to pay fair wages and in order for businesses to succeed, but it's so much deeper than that. In fact, we've led the largest research study that's ever been done on purpose-driven companies. What we've done is we've gone through all of the lists of companies that have been recognized by someone as a best place to work. Forbes and Inc. and Fast Company and Real Leaders, they all have all the publications and news sources have these lists of the best places to work. And we have gone through a systematic approach of having conversations with the leaders of now more than 3,000 organizations across North America that have been featured as a best place to work or recognized for their culture in some way. Um, and if we did a big giant word cloud, to kind of connect all of them, say what do they all have in common? There are three things that they all have in common, and it's not even replaceable. They all have it. Number one is what you just mentioned, company culture. And that's what I thought we were doing when we really started that research. I just really wanted to understand what is culture and why does it work in some places and work better in others. And so we really started researching culture, but there were two other things that grew out of that research. The second one, and the most obvious one, is that they all have a cause or a purpose or a North Star. Jim Collins calls it the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. And it's something that inspires people that want to be part of it. They want to be part of this company because look at what we're doing. It's way beyond just making money. It's how we impact the world around us. And then the third pillar of Do More Good Companies that we discovered was the development of how they built meaningful communities. And so I'm not just talking about serving the communities physically where a business might be located. That's really important and that's part of it. But also the communities, if you make a product or service that teachers buy, it's developing the kind of relationships with teachers as a business that make them want to buy your products and services. So we call it cause, culture, and community. Those are the three pillars of Do More Good Companies. And within that lives the mindsets of how these companies operate. They are people first, meaning that businesses succeed when their people thrive, not just professionally but also personally. They are purpose driven, meaning that they do have a North Star that they're focused on, and they're growth oriented. And this is the one that gets left off in a lot of conversations about purpose driven companies because there's this belief that it's all just you know, airy, light, well, yeah, we're
Fluffy.
doing great things in the community. It's
Hmm.
all touchy-feely stuff. But in the growth orientation is where the learner's mindset lives. And what we know about all these companies, these 3,000 plus companies, is that every one of them it like leans heavily into constant iteration, evolvement, improvement. They believe in R&D, and by that I mean rip off and duplicate. They're willing to learn from others and then apply and continue to grow, to find a better way to adapt and evolve. And that power of being oriented towards learning, growing, and expanding is what keeps companies from dying on the vine. The business that thinks they have it all figured out, puts their feet up on the desk and say, "Yeah, we've got this down." That's the company that is likely, going to be out of business next because, the minute you stop thinking you need to grow is the minute you die on the vine.
Hmm. Hmm. So can we, I mean, this is a little bit, maybe a little bit different, but when we talk then about the ROI of why, and then that, your belief of, I guess, kind of reinventing capitalism to do good for everyone and not just the stakeholders or the shareholders. I'm sorry, let me say that more correctly, not just the shareholder or shareholders.
Yeah.
Um, then do you believe the role of business in society?
Well, I believe, well, yeah, and I don't want to I'm trying to make sure I stay off my soapbox here because you can go all the way back to the time of feudalism when businesses started to become a thing, when craftspeople like the guy that put shoes on horses became a business instead of like a servant. And it's the early days of capitalism was all about these things we're talking about. It's about community. It's about how you serve the people in your surroundings. With globalism now rampant and at play, I mean, we can do business with somebody on the other side of the world just as easily as we would do business with somebody in the community one exit over.
Right.
It's remarkable how different the world is, and I believe that has created um, a big like upside down situation for capitalism. In that we're competing in a global marketplace. And I just read a report that there were something like almost a billion people in the world today that have some kind of like gig economy, and meaning that they'll do work for you, they'll write copy for you, or they'll design something, or they'll make something for you, or they're whatever, whether it's a side hustle or their primary thing. It's like 20% of the world's population will work for some thing that they have a skill in, and that is completely changing industries. The one that I've been part of for my entire adult life in the marketing industry, it's completely changed that. I don't believe there will be such a thing as an advertising agency in another 3 years. I think they'll all be completely gone because they're being replaced by the ability to use AI as an agent and as a tool and as an aid in doing work in the gig economy. And it's completely changed the way business works. And we have to figure out as business leaders how to provide products and services that truly create impact on the end user, that make a difference in the life or the lives of the people who purchase it and use it. And that makes, that does it either more affordably or does more of it more extensively. We have to figure out how to do business in ways that are more prolific than we've ever had to think about in the past. And globalization is going to continue to create, this really crazy disconnect as we continue to grow and expand.
Hmm. That's interesting. It almost is, like you said, it's more upside down than it's been before because business may now be actually in the role and be forced to be in the role of helping people um, consume the right way, even especially with AI. And so, I
Mhm.
mean, we won't survive as a society if we don't figure out ways to still have jobs be really relevant. And business is going to have to do that and figure out how to force that issue, I think, in a way we've never had to do before.
Absolutely, 100%. It's the changes that are coming. Most of us have no idea what's about to hit, and I say that including me. I mean, I
Mm.
certainly don't. I have in this role that I play as the founder of the Do More Good movement. I get to connect and interact with a lot of really amazing humans. And I was having a conversation just last week with someone who's in the room, like if you take the 100 people that are in the room when they're having conversations about is AI going to be the end of humanity or will it be the releasing of the nirvana that we're going to experience by fully being able to capitalize on our humanness. What's going to happen with AI and the machines as they come online? And there was a gentleman who's in that room at a very big company that everyone would know. And I was having a conversation with him and it was so hard for me to wrap my brain around what he's sharing with me. That it's not 10, 15 years like people still are writing about. He was telling me, Jay, this is like 3 to 5 years away, and his belief is that there will no longer be an economy, that money will be immaterial in 3 to 5 years. And the series of questions that I started asking him about that we talked for 3 hours over cocktails. It was one of those it's 2 in the morning, I need to go to bed kind of nights. But I still have so many questions. And I'm not saying I believe that. I'm saying that there's so much uncertainty about what's coming as a result of the wave of AI and machines and how it's going to affect the world around us that it's hard to plan. It's hard to run a company. It's hard to make decisions around business when you don't really know what not just 10 years is going to be, but what's the world going to be like in 3 years.
Mhm.
It's really hard to make decisions.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. My background is in software engineering, and so I came out of college with a software engineering degree right in the middle of the dot-com boom and the Y2K craziness. And boy, in those days, everybody was like, the internet's gonna it's gonna ruin, it's gonna, take away jobs. And remember you appreciate this because of FireSpring, but remember the paperless office?
Oh, of course.
Nobody's gonna print anymore, and
Yeah.
all of that. And it never the doomsday or the worst case scenario did not come to be true. Now, were jobs changed? Were they shifted? Absolutely. Do we do business, by candlelight? No. Do we do business by waiting by the mailbox? No. We adjusted, we adapted. Will this be the same sort of thing where we adjust and we adapt? And will we then have, humans have to adjust and adapt in a whole new way of doing work as well, is that part that I think is different than like Y2K or the dot-com boom.
Yeah. What I believe in fervently is that uh, companies that take a stand, along with the work we do at the Do More Good movement, that take a stand for transformation and abundance through business, and those companies. I don't think a company should aspire to be the best company in the world. They should aspire to be the best company for the world. And having that really modest shift in the way that we operate our businesses, I believe is the answer that we need to take the next step in the growth of humanity and how business fits into humanity. And um, and the leaders within those businesses shouldn't have to choose between meaning and money. They can and they should have it all.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think the individuals, the employees, should be able to have it all as well and be able to have a great, meaningful work and a paycheck that sustains them, as well as being part of a company that they're proud to work for. I mean, it's very
Yes.
much this symbiotic relationship that I think is also, overlooked too, in terms of the role that we play with our employees and vice versa. So, asking maybe a little bit more of a nuanced question that comes up a lot in my world. Um, for example, one of the companies I presented to a couple weeks ago feels like the leader feels like he's doing everything he can for his employees. And then his employees just want more, more, more.
Hmm.
Um, what would you say to that leader?
Well, you're not alone for sure. We're in this awkward. The way I look at it, we're kind of in this awkward transition phase right now because of the uncertainties that exist in the world. If I'm an employee or you know, a young emerging leader in a company today in my 30s, let's say maybe, and I'm trying to figure out what's coming and what's going. I can look to my left and to my right, and I can talk to my peers, and I can get online, and I can see hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are doing work that might be more attractive to me. You know, that kind of work might be something that oh, I could do that, and that's something that would appeal to me. And oh, and it pays twice that I'm making now. So I'll go back to my boss here and ask, oh, I think I need to make a little more if I'm going to stay, true to this. And we're in this. It's like the awkward teenager phase of this transition we're in, and I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon. I don't think there's any possible way we can make everyone happy. Now, I'm a huge believer in the ability for each individual, every human has inherent behaviors and traits and qualities, things that they are naturally really great at doing, and things that they might have to fight against the current a bit to do well. I know many people that, for example, went into accounting because their mother or their father was an accountant. So that's what I'm going to do. And they're miserable as they sit at the desk and make the numbers tie out all day because it's not what their natural inherent skills are. So I think it's incumbent upon business owners and leaders to really truly learn and understand the inherent qualities and behaviors in the people that work in our companies. Um, so that we can put them into a role and into a position that they're best suited to deliver on based on whatever their natural inherent skills are. And there's a lot of tools that make it easier to do that these days. I'm a huge fan of a product called Culture Index, which is one of the many assessment tools out in the world. It transformed my company, FireSpring, 15 years ago. Before we started using it compared to after we started using it, it was night and day in terms of how capable we are. And by we, I mean the leadership team, the managers in our company are now really skilled at knowing how to find the right path for every team member and to make sure that the job skills are in alignment with the job requirements. And I know that sounds so simple, but it blows my mind, Kendra, how many business leaders and owners don't really stop and think about that. If you're
Mhm.
trying to ask an employee or somebody to do something that is not in natural alignment with their skills, they're going to be frustrated, and so are you, and so are the people around them. We're giving people just the most incredible gift when we're really mindful and intentional about making sure we find that alignment for people, and that's really something that more business owners and leaders need to be thinking about. And I think um, it's the future. I already mentioned the thing that all of these companies that are really doing great work and are considered best places to work. One of the things that's common among all of them is that it's not just about professional development, it's also about personal development. The best companies give their people the opportunity to grow personally, and that could mean, bringing them in and do a lunch and learn on how to make sushi. It has nothing to do with your job, but it sure gives that person an elevated, perception of what they can do out in the world, and it gives them education and training on something that they didn't really know they needed, but now they love doing.
Mhm.
Just as an example, there's so many ways we can introduce personal development, training, and education inside of a company so that people can grow and expand as humans at the same time that they're facilitating whatever work we're asking them to do.
Mhm. Well, and I think this is going to become more and more important as we also see the population decline, which we are seeing, and that every human is going to matter even more. Not that I believe right now every human matters anyway, but I think it's going to be so important that we as leaders also really help bring out the best in everyone because we're going to have, I think, some scarcity there. And having people and making sure people are doing what they're naturally wired to do will be a gift for everyone.
Yes, it will. There's a reason why there's so much being written and talked about with Elon's decision to slow down the production of his Tesla vehicles and put nearly all of their time and attention in the development of robots. I just came from a conference in LA a few weeks ago, where there were probably 30 or 40 robots walking around on the trade show floor along with the rest of us. And the interactions I was having with them, still blows my mind. Um, and this is not a Jetsons cartoon. It's not, it's not way out in the future. It's something that will be prevalent in all of our lives, literally by the end of this year and by the end of next year. We're gonna have a completely different understanding of what kind of things um, can humans do? Obviously there will always be things that humans will do better than robots, but there are some things that, it's better that let's just let the robots do those things. If we're digging fence holes along a rancher's fence and you can send a robot out to dig 100 fence holes, that's better work for a robot than a human, as an example.
Hmm.
Um, and we need to be okay with that. And let's continue to find a better way for humans to step into roles that allow us to use our incredible gifted skills that every human has.
Well, and that kind of leads me into the final point that I wanted to bring up with you, which was around your kind of perspective that you mentioned to me, the five formative attributes of do good more do more good leaders. You said kindness, empathy, vulnerability, gratitude, and love.
Yes.
Can you just speak to this? Because that is not what a robot does.
No, it's not. And that again, if we did the word cloud with all of those leaders from these companies that we've interviewed, those are the five things that the superpowers or the attributes of the humans that live inside these organizations. I view kindness as loaning someone your strength instead of reminding them of their weakness.
Mm.
Kindness is very different than niceness. Niceness has a saccharine, sweet taste to it, almost a little fake, whereas kindness comes from the heart. The intention is always pure when you're being kind. You can say something that's not nice if you're being kind, so kindness is in my opinion, it's like the universal language of humanity. It's how we connect with anyone from anywhere. And empathy, this bridges the gap between what I hear and what I understand. The ability to empathize is uniquely human. It's our ability to make sure that other humans feel seen and heard in our presence. And leaders that understand that are the best leaders in every organization. And that also ties very closely to vulnerability. The courage to show up authentically. I used to see vulnerability for many years, for decades of my life. I saw it as a weakness. You don't want to show vulnerability. It means that you're not strong enough. But holy mackerel, when I understood, or when I finally learned, if I could admit my own imperfections, and just embrace those and be open about them. It invited much deeper connections with people in my world, whether they were someone that reported to me or a peer or whatever. That's where intent versus impact lives as well. You know, um, I might judge you for something you say or an action you take because I don't know what's in your heart. But I'm going to judge myself based on my intention, because I know that my intention was good, and that's so unfair. We all do this. We judge others based on what we see or witness, and we judge ourselves based on intention. And that whole mindset is something that lives deep into this attribute of vulnerability. And then gratitude, of course. This is just a basic practice of appreciation. Um, It's the elixir of abundance. And abundance, the opposite of scarcity, the abundance is what's required for us to thrive as humans, whether it's in business, in life, in anything, to be focused on what we have and not what we have not. And the biggest of all, without question, and the thing that is talked about more and more in business every year is the attribute of love. Um, Leading from a place of love, it doesn't compromise our power, it elevates it. And the theme of our conference this year at the ROI of Why is Love Conquers Fear. And our keynote speaker, Brett Hurt, he's an Austin unicorn. He's built and sold 5 companies, the last one for $1.4 billion. And Brett has gone deep down the rabbit hole on this idea and this mindset of love. And John Mackey, the founder of Whole Foods and the founder of Conscious Capitalism, he cannot speak a sentence without talking about love in the context of business. One of our other keynote speakers, Dr. Stephen Post, has done more research on the science behind love, specifically in business, than any other human on the planet. And he's going to be talking about on our stage the benefits of just understanding love as a business word. And again, if I go through all these interviews that we had, um, these people are saying, I love this company. I love the work that I do. I love our clients. I love this. I love that. It's being expressive in the way that we approach the word love. So those attributes that you just mentioned are the core of all the work that we're doing at the Do More Good movement, and we use them to train leaders. We draw people into our conference on this idea that we're going to teach them how to build a better business. In reality, what we're doing is we're building more conscious leaders
Mm,
because conscious leadership is an inside job. There's no one else who can do it. We all have to do it ourselves. No one else is going to convince me to do anything, or you, or anyone else. We have to convince ourselves based on the input that we have and the openness that we create. And these attributes are the 5 things that have just stood out in all the research we're doing, and they'll be displayed in abundance on our stage throughout our workshops and our keynote speeches. And we'd love to have people come and join us for that
mm.
conversation.
Well, I think the group that listens to this podcast are going to be likely attendees, knowing them.
Fantastic.
Yes, exactly. So we've got some discount codes and everything for you, actually, also. So we'll put that in the show notes. We'll put that in all of the social media posts as well, so that if you do want to attend this amazing conference, you have an ability to get there. So we'd love to have you there. I
And
would love to be there.
I'll just point out too, Kendra, that clearly being in the room with these thought leaders and in the hallways and in the break spaces and over lunch and meals and all that is the way to go. It's so powerful. But we also have a virtual live stream audience for those that just simply cannot make the
Hmm.
physical attendance, even though Omaha, Nebraska, I know is the most alluring place to visit in the United States. And it is beautiful, by the way. If you can't make it in person, we do have a virtual option and it's very affordable. And we have a cool format. We have a live stream host. So when the physically present audience goes on breaks, we switch over to the live stream camera and whoever was just on stage has a deep dive interview with our live stream host. So it's really great content and it's really engaging even with the live stream.
Sounds fantastic. That's great, Jay. Well, I think that's a perfect place to end this amazing interview. I just am so happy that we got to catch up and to get to hear all of the incredible work that you are doing for our business community and for our futures. So, Jay, thank you. Thank you so much. And we will all just continue to do more good, I hope.
Thank you, Kendra. Thank you for sharing this space with me. I'm honored to be here.